Hi everyone, and welcome to the Knit California channel. My name is Leslie and I'm a knitter and pattern designer in Southern California, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you all about the Alchemy Pullover. So grab your knitting, grab something cozy to drink, and let's get into it. Today that I'm filming this is February 1st, 2025, and it's the official pattern launch date for the Alchemy Pullover, which is the sweater that I'm wearing today, and I'm so excited. I'm so happy that the pattern is finally live. It's finally out in the world. You can go buy it if you would like to, knit it, and it's just a weight off my shoulder to have it actually be out there. For me to finally be at a point where I can say it's done, I'm not making any more changes to it, and yeah, for it to be out. The agenda for this video, I wrote it down here. I'm going to be going over the inspiration for this design, all of the pattern details, including the schematic, yarn info, needles, gauge, sizing, all of that information, yarn requirements, the knitting experience, and then I will close out this video with some photos, some videos, some photos from my testers that they had posted on Ravelry, and we will go from there. I want this video to be like sort of an introduction if you are thinking about knitting this pattern but you want maybe a little bit more information before you decide to take the leap. You can come watch this and hopefully get convinced that this is going to be a great pattern for you to knit and go from there. So I want to start with my inspiration for this design. I've posted a lot of photos and videos about this on Instagram, but if you haven't seen any of those, this pattern was fully inspired by a sweater that Taylor Swift wore to a football game. It was the 2024 AFC Conference Championship football game where the Kansas City Chiefs secured their spot in the 2024 Super Bowl. She was wearing a red sweater that looked very similar to this, and after I saw that sweater I was like, that is super cute. I want that sweater. I want to knit a sweater that looks basically exactly like this. And if you've ever heard of the Instagram account Taylor Swift Styled, she posts everything that Taylor Swift wears, and she like finds the designers, the brands for all of her garments, all of her shoes, all of the jewelry, everything. So after that game, I like immediately went to the Taylor Swift Styled Instagram account because I knew that she would find where this red sweater was from. And she traced this sweater to Gigi Hadid's knitwear brand, which is called Guest in Residence. And so I looked it up and there it was. It's this cashmere sweater. It's about $600-700. And you can very clearly see all of the details of this sweater when you look at it online. They did not have the red color when I looked at it at the time. They had this green and they had a really pretty burgundy color. But it was very inspiring. And I took some screenshots. Of course, I downloaded like all the photos that I could of Taylor wearing this sweater at the football game. And that was in February of 2024, okay? Fast forward a little bit to April of 2024 is when Taylor's latest album, The Tortured Poets Department, is released. And there's a song on the album called The Alchemy. And when you listen to the lyrics of this song, she's talking about like, some of the lyrics of this song are like, you know, where's the trophy? He just comes running over to me. Touchdown, call the amateurs and cut him from the team. Ditch the clowns, get the crown. Baby, I'm the one to beat. Cause the sign on your heart says it's still reserved for me. Honestly, who are we to fight the alchemy? I would play it for you, but then this video would get demonetized. The lyrics of this song just like immediately reminded me of those photos from that game and the photos from the Super Bowl, because, you know, then the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl and like basically those photos were recreated. She was not wearing the red sweater again. She was wearing another very cute outfit, but like, you know, they were on the field being super cute. You know, it's like, where's the trophy? He just comes running over to me. Like, he didn't even go to get the trophy. They were just hugging on the field. Anyways, very cute. And so for me, it's like this song, those photos, and the red sweater, like, are intertwined in my brain and like the full inspiration for this sweater. Okay, and that was in February 2024, April 2024. Fast forward again to August 2024. Taylor is on the Eras Tour. Taylor is in London, and there's a section in the Eras Tour called like the surprise song section, the acoustic section, and at this point she was singing mashups, so like 2 songs mashed up together. And on the piano in London on night 4, she sang King of My Heart mashed up with The Alchemy. And it was just like my favorite version of The Alchemy that she had sang so far on the tour. She did a note change where she like sang one of the notes like at a higher note than she normally does, and that was just like when I heard that, I was reminded of this sweater, I was reminded of those photos, I was reminded of that game, of how much I loved this song. And that was on August 15th, 2024. August 19th, 2024 is when I knit my first swatch for this sweater. So that was really the spark that lit for me, was when she sang that surprise song in London, and the rest is history. So yeah, it's a really it really is a combination of all 3 of those things: the song, the sweater, and all of those photos. And I think you can really see in the design, at least like the similar details from the sweater that she was wearing. It's not all the same details. I've got Lillipup here, by the way. She needs some love. It's not all the same details from the sweater. I did not include the split hem, and I did include the detail going all the way down the side panel, which I'm not sure if that's included in the original sweater or not, but I thought it was super cute, so I included it. But yeah, speaking of all the details, I'm going to put up some video clips and some photos to show you what all of the details are. The main detail on this sweater is the back shoulder. It's this pearl stitch with a slip stitch detail that comes out from the back shoulder and goes all the way down the shoulder, and then it comes around the arm. There's also some twisted stitches on the edge just to really like define the edges of that detail like panel. And then it goes around the arm and it goes down the whole side of the body. The other details on this sweater are on the arms. All of the decreases for the arms are concentrated at the bottom of the sleeve, so it gives you this really fun like decrease line at the bottom of the sleeves, and they are symmetrical and like opposite on both of the sleeves. Yes, Lillipup. And then for the ribbing, The collar is a 1x1 rib folded hem, double folded collar. The collar is a 1x1 rib double folded collar. And then the sleeves and the body hem are 2x1 rib. So a little bit of a difference. And from the photos of the pattern, from the photos of the sweater that Taylor was wearing, it really looked like they were different rib patterns. Like the collar looked like it was a closer rib compared to the sleeve and the hem, the bottom hem. And so that's why I decided to do different rib details here. And I actually really like it. I think it's really fun. I think they are far enough away that it doesn't look weird. Like you're not really looking at the collar and the bottom hem at the same time. I think it's something different. I don't see a lot of sweaters where you have different types of ribbing on the collar and the bottom hem and the sleeves, so I really like it. It's really fun. And it's 2x1, which is also different. Usually you see 2x2, but I just wanted, like, I liked the two knits, but I didn't want a huge purl gap in between the two knits. I just wanted a small one purl gap in between the two knits, if that makes sense. Yeah, anyways, I love it. I'm obviously obsessed with the details of this sweater. I think they're really fun. I think they're really cute. I think they're really classic. And if you don't like Taylor Swift, you have probably already stopped watching this video because I have talked a lot about her in the last 12, 13, 14 minutes. But if you're still interested in this sweater and you're not a Taylor Swift fan, I will say, like, yes, she was a huge inspiration for me in knitting this, but I think the design itself, like, if you were to just look at this sweater, I don't think you can see anything related to Taylor Swift if you just looked at this sweater, like, out in the wild, out in the world. I think it is a classic, relatively basic design with, like, just, you know, fun, interesting details that really could be perfect for any knitter. You don't even have to be a Taylor Swift fan. You don't have to be a football fan. Like, yeah, that's where the inspiration came from, but that doesn't necessarily need to be your inspiration for knitting this, if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on into the pattern details. I will post up the... Let's start with the details page here, and then we'll move on and I'll show you the schematic. This is a fully size inclusive pattern. I've broken it down into 9 sizes from extra small to 5XL. The extra small corresponds to an actual bust circumference of 28 to 30 inches. All the way up to the 5XL corresponds to a 60 to 62 inch bust circumference. And in centimeters, that is, the extra small is a 71 to 76 centimeter bust, and the 5XL is 152 to 158 centimeter bust. The finished bust circumference for the extra small is 38 inches. That's 96.5 centimeters. And the finished bust for the 5XL, the largest size, is 71 inches, and that's 180 centimeters. So you can see the range of the sizes there. And on the screen you can see all the sizes in between. The recommended ease is about 9 inches or 23 centimeters of positive ease. So I will say, yes, this is a lot of positive ease. I personally like to knit my sweaters with a lot of positive ease, but I do realize that this might be more positive ease than many people like to knit their sweaters with. If you like to use Ravelry, go onto the pattern page and look at some of the finished projects that are already there. Some of my testers knit the pattern with less positive ease. So you can see how the pattern fits if you knit it with less positive ease. One thing that I will say, if you need to knit it with less positive ease, you just may need to knit the sleeves a little bit longer. And there are instructions for how to do that if you're going to knit the sleeves longer, because all the decreases are here, right? So when you knit if you want to knit the sleeves longer, you basically want to knit this section up here longer, because that's the just straight stockinette section, so that you get the same decrease number of stitches here, if that makes sense. It's all written out in the pattern for you, okay? But just keep that in mind. That was something we found, because if you knit a size that has a little bit significantly less positive ease, for example, like someone knit it and they ended up with like 1 to 3 inches of positive ease versus 9 inches of positive ease, we found that the drop of the shoulder, instead of being down here, it was like up here. And so, you know, they needed to add like this much extra length onto the sleeve. So that's all I'm saying. It's fine if you pick a smaller size. Pick the size that you are most comfortable with. Okay? Okay, the gauge. So, well, let's talk about needle size first. So, I knit this on 4.5 millimeter needles. That's US 7 for the body. And for the ribbing, 4 millimeter needles, a US 6. And the gauge in stockinette stitch is 20 stitches and 30 rows per 4 inches, or 10 centimeters on that 4.5 millimeter needle, or US 7. Okay. For the ribbing, and this is both the 1x1 rib and the 2x1 rib, the gauge is 24 stitches and 32 rows per 4 inches, 10 centimeters on the 4 millimeter US 6 needle. Okay, let's talk about the yarn. So the yarn that I used is Dusty Yarn Co. Classic DK, which is a 100% superwash merino, 246 yards per 100 grams. The colorway that I use is called HRH HGH. And I do have a link in the description box down below if you are interested in using this exact same yarn in the exact same color, or another color from Dusty Yarn Co. I will say this yarn is so nice. It's so soft. Here's one of my extra skeins that I have left over. There we go. I don't know if you can see it at all, but this yarn base is very, very soft that they have from Dusty Yarn Co. And Audrey just announced yesterday that she has opened the sweater quantity library on their website. So you can get a discounted rate on sweater quantities. So anywhere from 4 to 8 skeins in a single color in a single base. And she's got discounted prices on those skeins in any of their colors that they have ever made. So click the link in the description box down below if you're interested in checking those out. I love Dusty Yarn Co. I have knit so many sweaters in their yarn. You can't see any of their yarn on the wall up here, but up there I've got multiple Dusty Yarn Co. colorways. They are the best. So, but if you are not going to use Dusty Yarn Co. any DK weight yarn, especially if it's 246 yards per 100 grams. Anything that you can use to get that 20 stitches and 30 rows per 4-inch gauge will be fine to knit this sweater with, okay? The yardage in the pattern, I have estimated between 1,265 yards and 1,744 yards. I will say that the yardages that I have recommended in the pattern include a 10 to 15% additional buffer. So for the sizes extra small through, I believe, the extra large, I did the 10% buffer, and then the 2XL through 5XL, I did the 15% additional buffer. And so if you are using the recommended yarn base, the Dusty Yarn Co. Classic DK, you're going to need between 6 and 8 skeins to knit this sweater, okay, depending on your size, and that info is on this page. Okay, and then I'm gonna flip over and show you the schematic just so you can see what this looks like. I drew this out, and you have all of your measurements here from bust circumference, body width, neck width, front neck depth, your armhole depth, your body length, sleeve length, hem ribbing depth, all of this in inches and in centimeters for each size. Okay, so you can take a look at all of this before you buy the pattern. This is posted on Instagram, this is posted on Ravelry, this is posted on my website, so you can figure out what size you want to make. You can buy your yarn, you can get all of this planned out, ready to go before you even purchase the pattern. Yeah, it's all there for you, okay? Let's talk a little bit about the knitting experience and like the difficulty, I would say. I asked my pattern testers to rate the difficulty of this pattern, and on average they rated this a 2.5 out of 5. So with a 1 difficulty being the lowest difficulty, a 5 difficulty being the highest, they placed it at a 2.5. So most people rated it, yeah, between a 2 and a 3. With that information, I'm saying that this pattern would be good for a confident beginner to be able to knit this. I think if you've knit a sweater, maybe a couple sweaters, I do think you would be fine knitting this. It is a drop shoulder, okay, so you are going to need to know how to pick up stitches, because you're picking up stitches from the shoulder seam, you're picking up stitches for the armhole. The other maybe slightly more complicated thing is just reading and like comprehending, like understanding the charts for this edge detail stitch. This is what I call it in the pattern, is the edge detail stitch. Actually, I've got my, this was one of my previous starts to knitting this, but it's missing some stitches that I changed the design after I had knit this. This was my whole back panel, and then I was like, oh, actually I need to add some twisted stitches in here to make it better. But the way that I have the edge detail stitches laid out in the pattern is I've got the left edge detail stitch, the right edge detail stitch, and there are instructions charted and written out for if you are on the right side, you're knitting the right side, or the wrong side of the right and the left edge detail stitch. So once you like understand what the edge detail stitch is, And I think after you've knit it a few times and you can like internalize what it is, I think you'll be fine. I think it's just a little tricky when you're starting it to like remember, okay, like, am I on the right side, the wrong side, the right or the left? If that makes sense. You'll see it when you're in the pattern, but I think that's the most difficult part of this, and it does come up right at the beginning of the pattern because the first thing you're knitting is the back panel and you're starting with those edge detail stitches, but that's it. So once you get past the back panel and you've like joined everything in the rounds, then it's like smooth sailing. So that's the difficulty and like the full knitting experience and the most difficult part of this, I would say. Okay, that's all I have for you with the Alchemy Pullover. If you have any questions about this, please, you can leave a comment down below. You can send me an email at knitcalifornia.com. I hope you will consider knitting this pattern. I am so excited to see all of the newly finished alchemies out in the world. I am going to leave you with some of the tester photos here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!